Welcome to the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. This is where we embrace how good you are, girl. Stop being the best kept secret in town. Learn how to use simple LinkedIn and social media strategies and make the big bucks.
Hey, it's Karen Yankovich, and I am here with a Good Girls Get Rich podcast recap for this week. And this week was really almost an emotional topic for me. I hope that that you guys, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so close to this camera. Um, just a little background about this episode before I dive into the recap of the episode. I was a speaker at the She Podcast conference last week, and it was 700 women at a podcast conference. And I've been to podcast conferences before. Podcast conferences are unique normally. They're very friendly, you start to get to know everybody. But even if you go there and it's the first time you've ever gone, you feel like you're walking into a family. I don't believe that anybody's, made to feel that they're not included. It's really an amazing environment. And this particular conference was really interesting because it was for women. Now, anything that's for women doesn't mean that it's not, that men are not allowed, right? So there's definitely men there. And I think the men got a lot out of it because I think it's important that the message that was getting across was that women's voices are not heard as much as men's voices are. No matter how much progress we think we've made in this world, there's still we have a lot further to go. And so many things have happened even since that conference that have proved that to be true. Not bad things, but things that where it needed work, it needed tweaking, it needed helping. So I really wanted to do a podcast episode, really around LinkedIn for women, because I find that when I do work with women specifically on LinkedIn, it's a harder sell, especially at this conference. There were so many women there. I mean, they're podcasters. They're putting their voice out there. By the nature of the content that they put out there, they're becoming visible, right? So it's not always easy, but they're brave enough to put their voices out there. But what I was finding was they were still, I don't know if brave is the word, but I'll use brave. They're still not brave enough to kind of own their genius, right? They're doing amazing things, incredible things. I mean, I can't even tell you, my phone is like bulging from the podcast that I downloaded from that conference because there was so much going on there. And yet they were a little uncomfortable sharing their genius, considering themselves the expert behind that message that they were sharing with the world. So this episode, oh my gosh, what episode 94? That's crazy, right? What should we do for episode 100? If you're listening to this, let me know. We're episode 94 of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast, and we talked about LinkedIn for women. And I kind of brought into this episode a lot of the challenges that I saw women were having at this conference with owning their greatness, right? A lot of people talked about imposter syndrome creeping in. There was a lot of talk about not being able to advocate for yourself, really learning how to be an advocate for yourself. Not, as women, we advocate for everyone. We advocate for our kids. We advocate for our employees. We advocate for our families. We need to advocate for ourselves, right? We've got this crazy, amazing message, especially the podcasters. We have to advocate for ourselves to get our voices heard. And LinkedIn is the place that you do that. LinkedIn is where you can start to advocate for yourself, where you can start to step into a place where you're shining your light on more and more people. And it is about shining your light. It isn't about being negative to the people that are not in agreement with what you're doing. It's about shining your light and bringing more light to the areas that you believe you can support. The saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. Well, that's kind of what I felt like this conference was at. And we women get a bad rap sometimes, right? They're like, maybe the Mean Girls movies and how they say women are catty and they don't support each other. I have not experienced that in a really long time. I think that is shifting. Sure, there's still some of that out there. There's always going to be some of that out there. But I prefer to just ignore that and just to step into the place that I think that rising tide lifts all ships. Because I think that together our message is stronger. Even just since that podcast conference, there's been so many little mini communities that have popped up where people like, I want to continue to support you ladies. We want to be able to continue to support each other, help get our message out there to more people, right? Especially when there's congruency, when your message is similar to somebody else's message. Your communities might overlap. Maybe your community would benefit by somebody else's content. If you're using LinkedIn to step into that role as an expert, as a leader, you're going to have a better shot at having more people wanting to share your content because they see you as somebody they want to have in your life. That starts with you, right? So you have to kind of be ready to collaborate and understand that to have successful collaborations, you've got to do your part to show up as a leader. And the last thing we talked about in this podcast was being seen and heard. I don't just teach LinkedIn for women podcasters. I teach LinkedIn for women, period, right? And a lot of women have trouble with being seen. They have trouble putting their LinkedIn profile out there, really talking about themselves as an expert, wondering what people will say if they say, I'm the best there is at this, right? Being comfortable with their own voice. So I would love for you to listen into this week's show and tell me what you think. It's KarenYankovich.com/094. I will put the link in the comments. Let me know what you think. I think this was a great one. I always think that, right? But I think this was a great one, and I'd love to know what you think. And what else do you think that I can do to support women so that they feel more comfortable stepping into LinkedIn, right? We're marketing our businesses on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, and that's great. I'm not saying not to do that, but why am I having such a hard time getting women to understand how powerful and how profitable marketing your business on LinkedIn is? I need to change that. I need your help. Tell me what I can do to help get that message out. I want to hear from you, so comment below, let me know. And I hope that you get a chance to listen to this entire show. KarenYankovich.com/094. It really is one that's close to my heart. Thanks for listening. And don't forget, join the LinkedIn Profile Challenge, LinkedInProfileChallenge.com. If you want my support, it's completely free. LinkedInProfileChallenge.com. If you want my support in do my LinkedIn profile off of your to-do list once and for all.